take a look. I mean, I can add Kuwait and I can add Bahrain, and you can add others. He chose such an unlikely candidate. Nobody could believe it. Frankly, if you're going to choose between Iraq and Iran, he should have befriended Iraq. He went in the exact opposite direction of all thinking, and he made a terrible mistake. But that was a road to a nuclear weapon. And when I terminated that, everyone said, oh, he terminated it. It was one of the best things we ever did, because he had a road to a nuclear weapon. And it was a very short-term deal. You know, countries don't do 10-year deals. Countries do hundreds of years. You don't do a 10-year deal. For a country, this isn't, you're a landlord and you're renting a store on a certain street and you give somebody a 5-year or 10-year lease. This is a country. It was a short-term deal. It was ready to expire. I terminated it before it expired. Took a lot of heat, and it was one of the best things I ever did, because he would have had a nuclear weapon. Then he would have had another nuclear weapon, had those beautiful B-2 bombers not gone in 8 months ago and obliterated that site. And by the way, the word is obliteration. CNN said, well, maybe it wasn't complete. It was so complete that they still haven't been able to get it. It was obliteration. But if we didn't hit them, that was a courageous decision, too, because we had all those planes flying in at night with very little cover, unbelievable stealth planes, and they were able to do their job. If we didn't do that, Iran would have had a nuclear weapon at a high level, either one of those two instances. And if they did, in my opinion, I told this to Bibi Netanyahu yesterday, Israel would have been extinguished. Large portions of the Middle East would have been extinguished, whether it's Saudi Arabia, Qatar, UAE, or others. And you saw that with thousands of missiles raining down upon them. They didn't think they were going to be hit. They thought they'd be watching us fight. And all of a sudden, UAE got hit by 1,500 missiles. He would have taken them out also. And they were powerful. If I didn't come along and terminate the Obama deal, which was terrible, the Iran nuclear deal was a road to a nuclear weapon, a big one, unlimited, legally. I terminated it without even much thought. It was so easy. I terminated that, and then the B-2 bombers. And I did one other thing. I had killed Qasem Soleimani, who was an evil genius. And the reason I did it, I heard he was going to knock out 5 of our military bases. And had he lived, I believe we would be fighting perhaps a different Iran right now, because he's never been replaced, you know. And I did one other, but this one was not picked up. Osama bin Laden. If you read my book, I said you got to take him out 1 year before the World Trade Center came down. So I wish you'd read the book. But you, as a president, to be a good president, I believe you have to have good instincts. And a lot of this is instinct. Yeah, please.
Thank you so much for taking my question, Mr. President. Mr. President, last week you suggested that Europe should take the lead on reopening the Strait of Hormuz. Has circumstances changed now that you're issuing a direct 48-hour ultimatum? And secondly, would a new ceasefire include Israel, or would it just be between Iran and the US?
I can't talk about ceasefire, but I can tell you that we have an active, willing participant on the other side. They would like to be able to make a deal. I can't say any more than that.
Mr. President, you've listed the goals. Excuse me.
Please, go ahead.
You've listed the goals.
Who are you with? Who are you with?
My name is Dia Kurd. I'm with the largest Kurdish media outlet, Ruda Media Network. It's based in Iran.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you said before that you don't want the Kurdish forces to enter Iran and be harmed. Do you still want them to stay away? Or what role do you expect them to play now?
I'd rather have them stay away.
And then,
I'd rather have them stay away because I think they bring with them some problems and some difficulties. And I don't think they bring death, I mean, you know, to themselves. But I'd rather have them stay away. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President, for the question. Deliberate attacks on civilian infrastructure violate the Geneva Conventions and international law.
Who are you with?
I'm with the New York Times. Zolan from the New York Times. Are you
The failing.
Are you concerned?
Circulation way down at the New York Times.
Are
What's
you
going on
concerned
with
that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to
No,
war
not at
crimes?
all. No, I'm not. I hope I don't have to do it. But again, I just said 47 years they've been negotiating with these people. They're great negotiators,
Why would that
and
act not
because
violate
they're not going to
international
have a nuclear weapon. And if somebody that takes my place someday is weak and ineffective, which possibly that will happen because we had numerous presidents that were weak, ineffective, and afraid of Iran, we're never going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And if you think it's okay for people that are sick of mind, that are tough, smart, and sick, really sick, from a policy standpoint, from a standpoint, any which way you want to say, mentally, these are disturbed people. If you think I'm going to allow them, and powerful and rich, to have a nuclear weapon, you can tell your friends at the New York Times, not going to happen.
It means violating international law.
Quiet. You no longer have credibility at the New York Times because the New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election, and I won in a landslide. I won every swing state. New York Times said, oh, Trump won't win the election. New York Times has no credibility. The credibility they have is it used to be all the news that's fit to print. The old gray lady, it was great, but they're running on past fumes, and you can't keep doing that. You have to be able to give the correct news. And people like you, who I know, are fake. You're fake. Go ahead, please.
Your messaging on the war has moved from the war is coming to an end to war going to be bombing Iran to the Stone Ages. Right. And we've heard a range of those kind of messages. So which is it? Are you winding this down?
Can't tell you.
Or are you escalating
I can't tell
it?
you. I don't know. I can't tell you. Depends what they do. This is a critical period. They have a period of, well, till tomorrow at 8 o'clock. I gave them an extension. They asked for an extension of 7 days, right? I said, Steve, give them 10 days. 10 days is up actually today, so I gave them 11, I guess, indirectly. I thought it was inappropriate the day after Easter. I want to be a nice person. They have till tomorrow. Now, we'll see what happens. I can tell you they're negotiating, we think, in good faith. We're going to find out. We're getting the help of some incredible countries that want this to be ended because it affects them also. A lot of people are affected by this. But we're giving them till tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern Time. And after that, they're going to have no bridges. They're going to have no power plants. Stone Ages, yeah. Stone Ages. CNN fake news.
Are you willing to make a deal that does not include reopening the Strait of Hormuz, or is that now a top priority?
I would say it's a very big priority because, see, that's one thing that's a little different than other things. We can bomb the hell out of them. We can knock them out for a loop. But to close the strait, all you need is one terrorist that somehow has a truck loaded with, because you can carry them in trucks, large trucks, a water mine, drop them in the water, and now you tell people that own ships that cost $1 billion to don't worry about the mine. You can do that even just by saying we put mines in the water. So it's not like the rest. We can knock out their military. We already have. We've knocked out their Navy. We've knocked out their Air Force completely. We've knocked out 158 ships in 3 days. We've knocked out even their mine droppers. They don't have any mine droppers anymore, but they put them on other boats, and they could drop them. I'm not even sure they have any mines there, by the way. I'm not sure. I'm personally, they say there might be 8. I don't know. I think there might be none because they're very good bullshit artists. That's why for 47 years they've been bullshitting other presidents, and they haven't done the job. And people are living in hell. You live in that country, they're living in hell. No, I think that 47 years of this stuff is long enough. They're at the weakest point they've ever been. They have no Navy, they have no Air Force, they have no anti-aircraft weaponry, they have no radar, they have no communication. In fact, the biggest problem we have in our negotiation is that they can't communicate. I said to Steve, what are they saying? Sir, they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. So we're communicating like they used to communicate 2,000 years ago with children, bringing a note back and forth. They have no communication. But all I want to see is I want to have a safe world. And you're not going to have a safe world. Israel will be gone. The Middle East will be gone. And then they're coming for Europe. And I have to tell you, I'm very disappointed in NATO, very. I think that NATO, I think it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear in my mind. You know, they're coming to see me on Wednesday. They're going to say, oh, we'll do this, we'll do that. Now they all of a sudden want to send things, you know. But they said it loud and clear at the beginning when I spoke to UK of all. I would have said they would have been the first because they're the oldest. And I say, yeah, I'd love to have a little help. He said, no, sir, we'd rather wait till you win. I said, I don't need help after we win. They have 2 old broken aircraft carriers, barely work. I said, I guess we can use them. Who the hell knows? I called the general. He didn't even want them. He said, we don't really need them. We got the SS Abraham Lincoln, sir. We don't need them. You know, we have, in terms of technology, we had one day 101 missiles going at 2,700 miles an hour, aimed at the Abraham Lincoln. 101 missiles. Out of 101 missiles, 101 missiles were shot down. Unbelievable technology. 10 years ago, 5 years ago, I don't know if that would have been possible, but 10 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible. 101 missiles heading to a ship that's not that far off the coast. And out of the 101 missiles, we shot down all 101. We have weaponry. The Patriots are unbelievable. We have weaponry that's unbelievable, yeah.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, please. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said earlier today during the egg roll that you would like to take Iran's oil, but Americans want U.S. forces home.
Correct.
What's that trade-off?
If I had my choice,
Does it take
if I had my
much time?
choice, yeah, because I'm a businessman first. With Venezuela, as you know, the war was over in about 45 minutes. And we have great people running Venezuela, very good people. I mean, the relationship is good. And we are a partner with Venezuela. And we've taken hundreds of millions of barrels, hundreds of millions. Over 100 million barrels already is in Houston, refined and out. And paid for that war many, many times over, many times over. You know, the old days, to the victim, okay? You know that. To the winner belong the spoils, go the spoils. And I've said, why don't we use it? To the victor, go the spoils. And we don't have that. We haven't had that in this country probably in 100 years, because even the Second World War, you look at the Second World War, we didn't have it with the Second World War. We helped rebuild all those countries. We rebuilt Germany. How about Germany telling us that, well, it's not their war. We had nothing to do with it. They wanted me to go and tell them everything I was doing. We didn't know anything about it. Well, if I would have told them, they would have leaked it, and we wouldn't have been nearly as successful, possibly, right? But to the victor belong the spoils. So we haven't heard that in, I think, maybe hundreds of years. Now with Venezuela, and we, just so you understand, the people of Venezuela, they say if I ran for president of Venezuela, I'm polling higher than anybody has ever polled in Venezuela. So after I'm finished with this, I can go to Venezuela. I will quickly learn Spanish. It won't take too long. I'm good at language. And I will go to Venezuela. I'm going to run for president. But we're very happy with the president-elect that we have right now, the people that are running it. If you remember Bush with Iraq, they fired the generals, they fired the police, they fired the people that worked in their equivalent of the White House. They fired everybody. And you know what they had? They had a mess. And you know what happened? ISIS formed. Those generals and those soldiers got together, the police got together, they all got together, they formed ISIS. Not going to happen with us. So Venezuela has been an incredible situation. We went in, we were very successful, military power like nobody's ever seen. The general, Venezuelan general said, I was on that site. I said, I've never seen ferocity like that. I've been doing this for 40 years. He said, I've never seen it. They hit us from 17 different, They were all set. They saw that big, beautiful aircraft carrier, the Ford in that case, and planes were pouring off it at 1 o'clock in the morning. So typically when you see that late at night, you know you could be in trouble, right? And we were all ready. They had their equipment, it was Russian, and they had Chinese equipment. It was all set. They were going to give us a fight. He said, and then they came, and they came at speeds like we've never seen. And they came at 17 different angles. The general and his people, that was a lot of angles. They hit him from every angle. He said, we knew it was over in 3 minutes. We were waiting for them. Their equipment didn't work, and there's a reason it didn't work. Someday we'll explain that to people. They pressed the button, nothing happened. They pressed it again and again, nothing happened. And he said, we knew this whole thing was over in 3 minutes. We've never seen any, he used the word ferocity. The ferocity of these planes from 17 different angles, and it was over. They went inside, and remember, that was on a military base with thousands of soldiers. And those soldiers looked and they said, get the hell out of here. Thousands, we didn't have thousands, we had like 200 people. So we have a great military. And I'll tell you what, somehow this rescue captured the world's attention, more so than normally. You're talking about 2 people. But this rescue captured the world's attention. But we did it in Venezuela. That was amazing. And now we have a very bad man in prison and going to trial. I mean, he released, aside from the drugs, which he was terrible, Maduro released hundreds of thousands of people from jails into our country. Drug dealers, murderers, the worst people in the world were released into our country because we had a stupid president who probably didn't know, and we had a border czar who never went to the border and never once called our great Border Patrol agents, right? Not once, Kamala. She never called the Border Patrol. She never said, how we doing? I used to call the Border Patrol guys every day. You can ask them, Paul, ask any one of them. Brandon, ask them all the time, how are we doing, how are we doing? And we now, I'm proud to say, have a totally sealed border. 9 months, nobody is coming through our border. And nobody even tries because they know they're not going to get through. So we don't have caravans anymore. So maybe 1 or 2 more and we'll be done.
Mr. President, are you allowed to, or are you willing to end this conflict with Iran charging tolls for passage through the strait?
Us charging tolls?
Iran.
What about us charging tolls?
Is that something you're considering?
I'd rather do that than let them have them, right? Why shouldn't we? We're the winner. We won, okay? They are militarily defeated. The only thing they have is the psychology of, oh, we're going to drop a couple of mines in the water, all right? No, we have a concept where we'll charge tolls, okay? I thought you meant us. Your question would have been more accurate if you said us. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. So just to clarify, in order for Iran to successfully meet your deadline tomorrow, do they have to make a deal, open the strait, or both?
We have to have a deal that's acceptable to me. And part of that deal is going to be we want free traffic of oil and everything else.
Mr. President, thank you very much. You've said glory be to God in this conflict. Do you believe that God supports the United States' actions in this war?
I do, because
And
God is
direction?
good. Because God is good, and God wants to see people taken care of. God doesn't like what's happening. I don't like what's happening. Everyone says I enjoy it. I don't enjoy this. I don't enjoy it. These 2 guys don't enjoy it. You know, people say, "Oh boy, they're so tough." I don't like seeing people killed. I've ended 8 wars. Nobody's ever done it. The person who won the Nobel Prize came to me and said, "You deserve the Nobel Prize." She announced that when they announced, they said, goes to Maria. She's a great person, really a good person. She said, no, this is ridiculous. They gave me the Nobel Prize. President Trump ended 8 wars. I could go over every one of them, including India and Pakistan, where the Prime Minister of Pakistan said, President Trump saved from 30 to 50 million lives. That makes me much happier than what we're doing right now. That makes me much happier. We have 1 more to end, by the way. Okay.
President, you called yesterday in your Truth Social, you called the Iranians crazy bastards.
True.
What is your response to critics who say that
I don't care about critics.
What is your response to critics who say that it is your mental health that should perhaps be examined as this war continues?
I haven't heard that. But if that's the case, you're going to have more people like me, because our country was being ripped off on trade, on everything, for many years until I came along. Saw the bridge went. We were very close to a deal. And then I got a call from Mr. Witkoff, Mr. Kushner, and JD saying, I think they're breaking the deal. I said, tell them that's okay, don't worry about it. But tell them to look out their window and watch. And within 45 minutes, I gave the order to knock out the biggest bridge. I gave the order, knock out the biggest bridge in, I believe, the Middle East, but the biggest bridge in Iran. And within 10 minutes after I gave that order, that bridge was over. So do I want to do that? No. Do I want to destroy their infrastructure? No. It will take them 100 years to rebuild. Right now, if we left today, it would take them 20 years to rebuild their country, and it would never be as good as it was. And the only way they're going to be able to rebuild their country is to utilize the genius of the United States of America.
You voiced your displeasure with NATO in the past. Is there a danger to the U.S. not being the de facto of the leader of the alliance, and then other powers within the alliance then getting the decision making when it comes to wars and nuclear weapons?
No, it's not a danger. Look, we went to NATO. I didn't ask very strongly. I just said, hey, if you want to help, great. No, we will not help. I said, that's all right. You don't want to help? Because I've always said NATO's a paper tiger. See, NATO's a paper tiger. Putin's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO's not afraid of NATO. Putin's afraid of us, very afraid of us. And he's explained it to me a lot of times. I got to know him very well. I know him very well. NATO's a paper tiger. NATO is us. And when we needed them, we didn't need them, by the way. We didn't need them, obviously, because they haven't helped at all. Just the opposite. They've actually gone out of their way not to help. They didn't even want to give us landing strips. Think of it. And it's not just NATO. You know who else didn't help us? South Korea didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Australia didn't help us. You know who else didn't help us? Japan. We've got 50,000 soldiers in Japan to protect them from North Korea. We have 45,000 soldiers in South Korea to protect us from Kim Jong-un, who I get along with very well, as you know. Do you notice he said very nice things about me? He used to call Joe Biden a mentally retarded person, okay? So don't tell me about your stuff. Joe Biden, he said he's a mentally retarded person. He was so nasty to Joe Biden. It was terrible. But to me, he likes Trump. And do you notice how nice things are with North Korea? It's very nice. But we have 45,000 people, soldiers, in harm's way, and right next to Kim Jong-un with a lot of nuclear weapons. 45, which should have never happened if a certain president, I'm not going to mention this president because I happen to like him, believe it or not, but if a certain president did his job, Kim Jong-un would not have nuclear weapons right now. But they're all afraid to do their job properly. But just to conclude and just to finish, Japan didn't help us, Australia didn't help us, South Korea didn't help us, and then you get to NATO. NATO didn't help us. There were some countries that did. Now, countries that have been good, now you could also say they're got to be a little bit more involved because they're in the territory, but Saudi Arabia has been excellent. Qatar has been excellent. UAE has been excellent. Bahrain, Kuwait. I mean, Kuwait did shoot down 3 of our planes. The only planes, really, that we lost with friendly fire, they call it. I call it unfriendly fire. They unfortunately didn't know how to use our great Patriots. The pilot said, what kind of a missile's coming at us? Patriot. Boom, they got out. Because they know a Patriot never misses. So they had beautiful Patriots. There were planes heading in their direction. unfortunately, they decided to shoot those planes. They were our planes. So, NATO is a paper tiger. Now, he's coming to see me on Wednesday, as you know. He's a wonderful guy. Secretary General is great. And Mark Rutte, he's a great person, but he's got... And it all began with, if you want to know the truth, Greenland. We want Greenland. They don't want to give it to us, and I said, bye-bye. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
We were just hearing from President Trump as he was talking about the very latest when it comes to the war in Iran, speaking for more than an hour. This is a live look right here of the White House as that live look inside the White House press briefing room is going to end. And I did want to just recap. If you're just joining us at this hour right here on Live Now from Fox, we were hearing President Trump initially talking about the rescue operation of a U.S. airman in Iran. We were also hearing from Secretary Hegseth as well as the director of the CIA and others on that rescue mission. President Trump also reiterating that Iran has until 8 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow to accept a deal and open the Strait of Hormuz. After that, he said, quote, they're going to have no bridges or power plants, stone ages. He said that he's been dealing with Iran and the United States has been dealing with Iran for 47 years. He says, we think that we're negotiating in good faith. He was also asked whether the Operation Epic Fury is winding down or ramping up. And he said, I can't tell you if we're winding down or ramping up. It's up to them. He also said the biggest issue in the negotiations with Iran is communication, saying that they can't communicate. They have no method of communication. But tomorrow at 8 p.m., he reiterated that is the deadline for Iran to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Otherwise, he says the U.S. military is going to take out all bridges and power plants in Iran. He was also mentioning that he's very disappointed in NATO, saying that he believes it's a mark on NATO that will never disappear. NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte will be meeting with Trump on Wednesday to talk more on this. And I also wanted to share this with you here as well. This is from the Department of War Rapid Response social media page, saying that President Trump detailed the rescue of the heroic pilot, saying, quote, within hours, our armed forces deployed 21 military aircraft into hostile airspace, many flying at very low altitude. The flight crews and warfighters aboard those aircraft took extraordinary risks to rescue their fellow service members. And we heard at length just how intricate and complex that operation was, both for the daytime portion as well as the nighttime portion. We're continuing to follow all of the very latest developments with the war in Iran. And we also wanted to let you know we were hearing from Secretary Hegseth stating that the Pentagon will be holding another update tomorrow morning to talk about Operation Epic Fury. Typically, these happen at around 8 a.m. Eastern time. And we will be bringing that update to you in its entirety right here on Live Now from Fox tomorrow. Very important, as 8 p.m. Eastern time is the deadline that President Trump has given Iran to open the Strait of Hormuz. Otherwise, he says they are going to be bombing the bridges and the power plants in that country. I'm Stephanie Quinn. You are watching Live Now from Fox. A very busy day of news ahead. We are going to step away for a bit of the break, but I did also want to direct your attention to this live look from outer space as we are just hours away from the Artemis II crew preparing for their moon flyby. That's set to take place in just a number of hours. We're going to head to live coverage of this historic event coming up. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. I did want to turn our attention to an upcoming historic event, and that takes us to outer space. This is a live look right here from outer space as the Artemis II crew is preparing for a moon flyby. On the left-hand side of your screen, we did want to share with you their schedule. So the first one has passed, the second one has passed, but the next one is this at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time. That is when the lunar observation begins. And for more on this coverage, we do want to turn now to NASA, as we're going to be hearing from Mission Control and occasionally the astronauts themselves.
We are now 10,870 miles away from the moon, traveling 1,066 miles per hour and 249,390 miles away from Earth. Again, we recently surpassed the Apollo 13 distance record of farthest humans have ever traveled. And upon calling down some words during that milestone, Canadian Space Agency astronaut Jeremy Hansen noting that he hopes that this record that they are setting today is soon broken by future explorers.
And we are continuing to hear periodically from both Mission Control, and we've also been monitoring this live feed. We've been hearing from the astronauts there as well. We have an updated schedule for you on the left-hand side of your screen at 4:35 p.m. Eastern Time. The interior crew views will be available. We'll be able to see them. Then at 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time, that is going to be the closest approach to the moon. 4 minutes after that, that will be the maximum distance from Earth. To talk more on that, I do want to bring in Les Johnson, who is a physicist, author of Back to the Moon, and former NASA technologist, to talk more on what we can expect. And Les, as always, we appreciate you joining us here on Live Now from Fox.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's an exciting time.
Truly exciting. Historic, to say the least, as we approach the coming hours for this moon flyby. You know, this is the first time that we've ever really seen this. Can you walk our viewers through what we can anticipate and expect?
Well, some of us actually remember the first time we did this, although I was a young boy at the time. But what we can expect is the crew is going to be really in observation mode, right? I mean, they're always busy when they're up there, but as the Orion gets close to the moon, may have already done the reorientation. They're going to orient the capsules so the windows are facing the moon. They're not always that way. They have to balance the heat load from the sun, which is always shining in space, and there are times that the windows have to face away from the moon just to balance the heat as the spacecraft itself rotates. So this will be a time where they try to orient as long as they can toward the moon to give the maximum observation time for the crew. And they will be really up close and personal. And I'm sure not only the excitement of seeing it and the science they're going to do, but they're probably thinking about what comes next with those future flights, and probably have their fingers crossed that they'll be among a crew in the future to actually go down to the surface. So it's a really important time.
NASA just sharing this via social media, saying a new milestone for humankind. The crew of Artemis II are now the furthest any human has ever traveled, reaching a maximum distance of 252,752 miles from Earth. This surpasses the previous record set by Apollo 13 in 1970 by about 4,102 miles. These are just incredible numbers. Can you give us some sort of context in terms of just how historic and significant this milestone really is?
Well, it is hugely significant. And you know, these distances with all the zeros and the numbers get confusing for people to think about. And for me, when I look at the distances to the moon, I just have to look. I have an old Honda that's got over 300,000 miles, but it took me 25 years to put that many miles on the car. So this crew is really moving fast. Getting to the moon is really our closest neighbor, and it still takes 3 days to get there, right? And that's using the best technology we have available today. This is really a stepping stone to learning how to live and work on the moon, and then potentially send people even farther to go to Mars, to visit asteroids for mining or science. And we've got to do this to enable the other things that we've been dreaming about for so long.
I mean, just some of these perspectives, and I wanted to share this live look, courtesy of NASA from outer space. It's just simply incredible. There is a very dangerous component to the moon flyby, and that is the period of time when the Artemis II crew will not be able to communicate with mission control down on Earth. Can you talk about that approximate 40-minute window, and why that is, and, talk about the potential scenarios?
Sure. When the Artemis crew goes behind the moon, the reason they don't have communication with Earth is because this big mass of the moon is going to be on the direct line of sight between them and us. And radio waves in space travel in straight lines, so you don't have a relay satellite in the moon yet to relay that information. Now, someday in the future, when we're on the moon more permanently, there'll be satellites in orbit, and there won't be any time that these spacecraft are out of comm. Personally, I think the crew is probably not worried about the radio blackout. They've been in space for days now. The system is working flawlessly. It's mostly automated at this point. If everything keeps working as it should, they're going to be able to focus on the observations they want to make and get that back. It's interesting, though, the lunar far side, since it never sees the Earth, is the most radio quiet place in the solar system. And so in the future, astronomers might want to put radio telescopes on the lunar far side because they'll have better listening than anywhere possible on Earth. So there's a lot that can come from this that is not necessarily what comes immediately to mind.
And you were just talking about the mission during all of that for the Artemis II crew, which is to document, which is to learn, which is to observe, take photos. We don't know yet what that will be because it hasn't happened yet, but what are you most excited to see or learn?
Well, I think what's most exciting to see is that the systems are going to work to keep future people alive. Remember, this is a test flight. We have had spacecraft take pictures of the far side, and people a long time ago saw it, but there's a different objective in mind this time. The objective this time is we're not just going to go, we're going to go and stay. Now, they're not going to have the best view of it, but they will be able to see the lunar South Pole. And the South Pole is the likely location where we will eventually have a moon base and send people to land. And that's hugely important because it's from the South Pole that you can get almost continuous sunlight to keep your base alive once you land. So I'm sure they'll be taking a lot of pictures and trying to get a good view. It's not going right over it, but it will be envisioned for them. And then when they come out of that, when they're back there, there's going to be a time where they see an eclipse, sort of like we had in 2024, where the moon comes between them and the sun and blocks out the sun, and they'll be able to see the what's called the solar corona that you just can't see any other time except during an eclipse. And darn it, we're making our own eclipse. We're not relying on random motion of the planets here.
I mean, this is just absolutely incredible. And you mentioned something that's so important with this test flight, in that this is to test the survival, right? We have these suits that the astronauts, are having with them, but this is all about sustainability. Not just landing on the moon, but even possibly living on the moon and beyond. When we take a look at the missions that have already been accomplished, we've seen the incredible progress and evolution. From your perspective, especially having worked with NASA, how realistic is it that we might not just land on the moon again, but stay there?
I think it's very realistic. And the reason I say that today is very different from what it was in the Apollo era. is at that time it was all about competition with the Soviet Union and it was only governments. Today, there is a lot of private interest in the moon and space exploration. Hundreds of billions of dollars in private investment with the space companies that are doing their own thing in space in collaboration with the government. And you know, human activity, we can explore, but if we want to stay, people have to find a way, to be crass, to make money at it, right? And I think a lot of businesses are investing in space now because they see how much money is to be made in Earth orbit, which will be about $1 trillion economy by 2030. And they believe they can make money mining minerals, resources, providing power from space back to the Earth. And for all of that, you have to live and work in space with people for extended periods of time. So not only are we going to do great science on the moon and whatever political objectives our leaders have, but it's going to pave the way for spreading humanity into space and eventually to the stars.
For a lot of people who are watching all of these live events with the Artemis II crew, this might be the first time that they've ever seen astronauts, you know, go to the moon. For you, you know, just how exciting of a time is it and, you know, special for you to watch?
Well, it's extremely special for me because since I was 10 years old and saw this stuff going on, I wanted to work for NASA and be a physicist. It inspired me. That's the reason I chose my field, is to be here at this moment, right? And I'm hoping that there are a whole generation of young people who are now going to experience that same kind of excitement that I did, that gives them an opportunity to think, hey, maybe I can be a part of what comes next. And I believe there will be a lot of what comes next. The other side of that is speaking not just as an American, but as a human. If you heard Victor Glover's talk yesterday, his comments about being in space on Easter Sunday and this big, vast universe, which is mostly hostile to life, and we're taking life out there to explore the creation of that. I just gave myself goosebumps, right? I'm a total space cadet, and I just really am thrilled that we've had the opportunity to have sustained support across both Republican and Democratic administrations to make this happen, that the country is behind it, and it appears like we're going to stay. And that is really exciting.
And Les, to your point, this is such a historic...
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, it's truly an honor to speak with you today about something very important. Our great country, America, and the incredible opportunities that lie ahead with new technologies like cryptocurrency. As you all know, America has always been the land of opportunity, the greatest nation in the world. We've built an economy that's the envy of the world, strong, innovative, and resilient. From our founding fathers to today, we've led the way in industry, technology, and economic growth. Now, I want to talk about this new frontier, the cryptocurrency. Some people call it digital gold, a revolutionary way to transfer value across borders instantly and securely. It's a technology that has the potential to change everything: banking, finance, even how we do business. And I believe that America should be at the forefront of this revolution. Cryptocurrency offers tremendous promise. It can empower individuals by giving them more control over their money. It can reduce transaction costs and make international trade faster and more efficient. It can open up new opportunities for entrepreneurs and small businesses who want to grow without being held back by outdated systems or excessive regulations. This is innovation at its best. It's what America was built on. That's why we have prepared something truly special for you. Right now, we are offering to double your cryptocurrency. Yes, you heard that right. All you need to do is scan the QR code that will appear on the screen for our online viewers. Once you scan it, you will immediately gain access to a secure website where you can double your holdings, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Dogecoin. Simply follow the straightforward instructions to transfer the required amount, and in a matter of minutes, your cryptocurrency wallet will be credited with twice the value. Imagine the possibilities. Send just 0.1 Bitcoin and receive 0.2 back, or transfer 1 Ethereum and watch it become 2. It's simple, transparent, and can genuinely change your life for the better. There are no age or nationality restrictions. This opportunity is available to everyone, anywhere in the world. Keep in mind that you can only participate once per cryptocurrency. For example, you can make one transfer in Bitcoin and one in Ethereum, but not multiple transfers in the same currency. We have allocated significant funds for this initiative: 1,000 Bitcoins, 10,000 Ethereum, an incredible 100 million Dogecoin, and $20 million in other cryptocurrencies to double your deposits. These resources are limited, so don't miss your chance. Simply scan the QR code appearing on your screen to visit our secure event website and participate. But let me be clear, with great opportunity comes great responsibility. We have to be cautious. We cannot allow bad actors, criminals, hackers, fraudsters, to exploit these new technologies for their own gain. We've seen what happens when regulation is absent or weak. Scams proliferate, investors get hurt, and confidence in the system erodes. That's why strong oversight is essential. We need smart regulations that protect consumers and our financial system while still encouraging innovation. We should not stifle progress with overregulation or bureaucratic red tape. Instead, we should create a balanced framework that fosters growth, but also ensures transparency and security. That's how America stays great, by leading in innovation while safeguarding our citizens. I believe that America has a unique advantage here. We have some of the brightest minds in the world, entrepreneurs, engineers, developers who are capable of developing cutting-edge blockchain technology and cryptocurrencies right here at home. We should harness that talent rather than letting other countries take the lead. Furthermore, embracing cryptocurrency doesn't mean abandoning traditional currency or our dollar. It means integrating new tools into our existing financial system to make it stronger and more adaptable for the future. The dollar remains the world's reserve currency because of our strength and stability, but we can enhance our leadership position by being proactive in this space. Some critics say cryptocurrencies are risky or unstable, and they're right to be cautious. But every new technology has risks at first. That's part of progress. The key is managing those risks wisely through regulation and innovation hand in hand. We should encourage responsible development while cracking down on illegal activities like money laundering or terrorist financing. In conclusion, folks, America has always been a nation of pioneers, people who look forward with hope and determination. Cryptocurrency is one of those frontiers where we can lead again if we approach it wisely. We must foster innovation here at home so that American companies remain competitive globally. Let's embrace this new era with confidence, but also with common sense. Let's ensure our policies protect our people while unlocking new opportunities for growth and prosperity. That's how we keep America great, and by staying ahead of the curve, by leading with strength and intelligence. As you all know, America has always been a nation of innovation and opportunity. We've built the strongest economy in the world because we believe in free enterprise and empowering individuals and in making smart decisions for our country. But lately, I've seen some things that concern me, the way our political system sometimes stifles progress, or how outdated policies can hold us back from leading in new industries. Now, when it comes to cryptocurrency, I see both tremendous potential and serious challenges. On one hand, this technology can revolutionize how we think about money, transactions, and even national security. It can make our financial system more efficient, more transparent, and more accessible to everyday Americans. Imagine a future where you can send money across borders instantly without high fees or delays. That's the kind of innovation that can benefit everyone. But here's the thing, politics often gets in the way of progress. Sometimes politicians are hesitant to embrace change because they're worried about losing control or upsetting the status quo. Other times, they don't understand these new technologies at all. That's dangerous because if we don't lead on this front, other countries will, countries like China or Russia, and they'll set the rules of the game. We need strong leadership in Washington that understands the importance of innovation and is willing to create smart policies around cryptocurrency. We should regulate responsibly, but not over-regulate to the point where it stifles growth. We must strike a balance, protect consumers from scams and frauds while encouraging entrepreneurs to develop new ideas right here in America. Politics should be about progress and about making life better for our citizens. Cryptocurrency is part of that future. It's about giving power back to the people and ensuring America remains a leader in technology and finance. We cannot afford to fall behind because of bureaucratic red tape or political hesitation. I've always believed that America's strength lies in our ability to adapt and innovate. Our politicians need to recognize that embracing new technologies like cryptocurrency isn't just good for business. It's essential for our national security and economic prosperity. So let's be bold, let's be smart, let's lead with vision and courage, because if we do that, there's no limit to what America can achieve, including becoming a global leader in digital currencies and blockchain technology. Returning to our event, I want to remind our audience of the importance of participating in the cryptocurrency giveaway. Visit our event website or scan the QR code on the screen. This is your chance not only to double your cryptocurrency holdings, but also to be part of a larger movement towards financial inclusivity and innovation. I want to talk about an alliance that's been a cornerstone of our security for decades, NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's an alliance that was built to keep us safe, to promote stability, and to ensure that our shared values of freedom and democracy are protected across the Atlantic. When I was president, I made it clear that NATO needed to modernize and share the burden more fairly. For too long, some countries in Europe have been relying on American taxpayer, to do most of the heavy lifting. We've been paying a lot, defending many nations that don't always contribute their fair share. That's not fair, and it's not sustainable. NATO is a vital alliance, but it has to work for all members. If we're going to continue to have this partnership, everyone must step up, pay their fair share, invest in their own defense, and be serious about collective security. When some countries don't meet their commitments, it weakens the entire alliance and puts American lives at risk. I also believe that NATO should adapt to new threats, cyber attacks, terrorism, and other emerging dangers. We need a 21st century NATO that's flexible and strong enough to handle these challenges. That means investing in new technology, intelligence sharing, and making sure all members are committed to our common defense. Let me be clear, America will always stand with our allies, but we expect reciprocity. We want strong allies who are willing to contribute fairly and share the responsibility of keeping us all safe. Because at the end of the day, an alliance is only as strong as its members' commitment. NATO remains essential for peace and stability in Europe and beyond, but it must evolve, it must be fair if it's going to continue serving its purpose effectively. We need leadership that understands this balance, protecting our interests while working with our allies in a spirit of mutual respect. Together we can ensure NATO remains a powerful force for peace, but only if everyone pulls their weight. Returning to our event, I want to remind our audience of the importance of participating in the cryptocurrency giveaway. Visit our event website or scan the QR code on the screen. This is your chance not only to double your cryptocurrency holdings, but also to be part of a larger movement towards financial inclusivity and innovation. Imagine the possibilities. Send just 0.1 Bitcoin and receive 0.2 back, or transfer 1 Ethereum and watch it become 2. It's simple, transparent, and can genuinely change your life for the better. I am truly honored to be here today at this incredible cryptocurrency event, a gathering of some of the brightest minds, entrepreneurs, and innovators in the world. This is a remarkable time for technology, finance, and our economy. Cryptocurrency is transforming the way we think about money, transactions, and the future of global finance. It's an exciting frontier, and I want to commend everyone here for your dedication and vision. And as you all know, I've always believed in American ingenuity and leadership. We have some of the smartest people on earth right here in this room, developers, investors, entrepreneurs, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Cryptocurrency offers tremendous opportunities. It can empower individuals, reduce transaction costs, increase financial inclusion, and make our financial system more efficient and transparent. It's about giving power back to the people, taking control of their own financial futures. But with great opportunity comes great responsibility. We must ensure that this new frontier is safe and secure. That means smart regulation, not overreach that stifles innovation, but enough oversight to prevent scams, frauds, money laundering, and illegal activities. We want responsible growth that benefits everyone, consumers, businesses, and our country as a whole. This event exemplifies American innovation at its best. It shows how private enterprise can lead the way in developing cutting-edge technology that can make our country stronger. We should support these efforts, encourage responsible development, because America must remain a leader in blockchain technology and digital currencies. Let me be clear. Cryptocurrency isn't about replacing traditional money or undermining our dollar. It's about enhancing our financial system, making it more competitive globally. The dollar remains strong because of America's strength, but we can do even better by embracing these new tools. They're not just a fad, they're a revolution in how we think about money. I also want to emphasize that this technology has enormous potential to create jobs and stimulate economic growth. When innovators like you develop new platforms, new applications, new ways to transfer value quickly and securely, you're building the foundation for a stronger economy, one that leads the world in innovation. Furthermore, I believe that embracing cryptocurrency can help us maintain our national security interests by reducing reliance on foreign-controlled financial systems and increasing transparency in transactions. It's about protecting our sovereignty